Hey buddies, welcome to another Brazilian Buddy Show. My name is Andrey and I'm here to prove to you that Brazil is more than samba, football and carnival. And today I'm proving that Brazil has winter because it's 10 degrees right now and I'm freezing. And first of all, I would like to talk with you, Henry, right?
Yes.
I was thinking like to if you have like some, how can I say, a different way to speak your name. So first of all, Henry, how are you and who are you?
I'm good, thanks, Andre. I am Henry. I'm from the United States. I was born in New York City, but both of my parents are Chinese. So I have a Chinese background in terms of my family, my language, and my culture. But currently, I'm living in Brazil and enjoying the Brazilian culture.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm really curious to ask you about the Chinese and Brazilian exchanging that we have. And
Mhm.
first of all, you told me that you are 5 years in Brazil, right?
Yes.
So
So in about 3 months, I'll be here for 5 years.
that's crazy, man. And how does it start that, connection with Brazil?
So in college, I had a roommate who was also Chinese, but he was born in Brazil. So instead of me born in the US, he was born in Brazil, and we became really good friends. And so he would, show me, what Brazilian food was like. He would introduce me to Brazilian music. Maybe we would talk about Brazilian geography, and it started this huge interest for me to visit Brazil. And then when I did finally get to visit Brazil, I just fell in love with the culture, and I decided I had to live there. Is kind of where I felt most at home.
Oh, awesome. That's really awesome. And how was it for you? How, like, you're 5 years here, right? So you speak Portuguese, you probably eated a lot of different foods, right? And how was for you?
It's great. So I think in the US, I worked really hard, but I wanted to have a little bit more fun and kind of enjoy my life and not just work every day, go to sleep, and then repeat that every single day. And I think Brazil is one of the most fun countries that I have been to. And I love traveling in Brazil, getting to know the culture, meeting new friends, and just experiencing new things all the time. And I think Brazil allows me to do that. And that's what excites me the most about being here.
This is awesome. And you told me as well that you visited 25 states, 23.
23. So my goal is to visit all 26 by the end of this year. Obviously, the COVID pandemic made it a little bit difficult, but now that I'm vaccinated, I'm planning to pick this back up. I have 3 more states left to go, and two of them are already booked. So by the end of August, I will only have one state left, which is Mato Grosso do Sul.
Oh, I was in Campo Grande. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is a nice place. And try to search about Bonito. I think
Yeah,
it's,
probably
yeah,
will go.
yeah, one of the probably one of the best places from that states. And which states it's left, like Mato Grosso do Sul? What else?
So in 2 weeks, I'll be going to Rondônia, and then in August, I'll be going to Belém in Pará.
Oh, Belém do Pará. Yeah, I was there. Um, Tacacá, what else? Calypso, which is a, a Brazilian band really famous from there. And it is a nice place. It's a little bit similar to Amazonas, for example, but they have that similarities. And this is really crazy because you're here 5 years, you already traveled almost all states. Which states is your favorite and why?
My number favorite is where I currently live, which is Santa Catarina. I would say it's a fun state for me. So the people here really know how to enjoy life. There's beautiful beaches. There's also mountains. There's cold weather. There's warm weather. There is great parties. There is, football teams. There is nature. There's ocean. Like anything that you could want is found in this state. There's also the one of the biggest Oktoberfests outside of Germany. So that's really fun too in October. And it's very safe too. So I think, uh, not every place in Brazil is the safest, but Santa Catarina, I've never had problems. And I really like that as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have family from Florianópolis, and I don't know if you realize that you have one of the most beautiful people from Brazil. It is located in Florianópolis,
I
and
would say
both,
maybe the world. Yeah.
yeah, like both men and girls, they are like really beautiful because they have that European blood. So
Mhm.
most of the time they are like blonde with blue eyes, right? And
Yeah.
and yeah, you have a lot of models who was born in Santa Catarina state. For
Right.
example, I think that Gisele Bündchen was born
Mhm.
in Santa Catarina, and etc. I don't know. I don't remember right now. And Santa Catarina has interesting places to visit. As you said, Blumenau, right? You have Oktoberfest there. You have Bombinhas, Joinville. What else? I don't remember right now the other
Yeah.
interesting places.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I was in Chapecó,
Oh
which
yeah,
wasn't my favorite place. There's not a lot to do there, but it's a very beautiful city too, though very green, uh, not flat at all. There's like hills and small mountains, so it was a nice place. But I also went when it was raining, cold, and so that could be also why there wasn't much to do.
yeah. And you remember me a city called Urupema, and it's
Hmm.
considered the most coldest city in Brazil. Like right now, I'm in São Paulo, and it's 10 degrees. I'm dying. And you are in Floripa, which is 9 degrees, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And Urupema right now, I searched it, it's like -2, -3,
Yeah, very
and
cold.
it's snowing. That's crazy. And because people can think like, well, Brazil, it's hot, it's almost 30 degrees all the time, and that's not true. I'm wearing a jacket. I'm really cold,
Mhm.
and that's the beauty of Brazil. Like you have different slangs, different people, different weather, and
Yeah.
that's why I love this place, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, and my second favorite state I would probably say is Minas Gerais. Uh, and I think for me, Minas Gerais, the food is incredible. And you also have a lot of very beautiful people, like you said, but they're also very nice and friendly, and they genuinely care about making friends and being nice to each other. So I think that's something that sets these people apart.
And you remember me other stuff which is really interesting. It's the way that they speak, because people from Minas Gerais and Santa Catarina, you saw that they have different ways to speak, right?
Right.
Um, I know that Santa Catarina, in my opinion, they speak like singing, maybe,
Mhm.
and in Minas Gerais they speak slower, but at the same time they have their own slangs,
Yeah.
you know. And is it difficult for you as a foreigner because you speak Portuguese, right?
Hmm. No, I would say the north of Brazil is a little bit harder for me to understand sometimes, like
Oh,
Pará, Rio Grande do Norte, but South Brazil, Minas Gerais, Rio de Janeiro, I don't have any problems understanding. It's pretty similar to me.
yeah, I think that you hit the point because, for example, I know that in the Northeast, even me as a Brazilian is, really difficult to understand them because they speak faster. They have thousands of slangs that it's not common to see in São Paulo or Rio
Yeah,
or in Santa Catarina, and they are another kind of Brazilians.
yeah,
They have a different energy. I think that they are more, um, how can I say, happy people, right?
yeah,
In general, we are, Brazilians are happy, but in the Northeast, you have a different atmosphere. I don't know if you felt that when you were there.
mhm,
And I would like to talk about the Chinese immigration. I think that it's an interesting subject. I was searching, to put a little bit of your culture inside of Brazil, and
mhm,
it started, I think, in 1880 or 1880, 1808,
mhm,
and Brazil was part of Portugal by the time we were a colony, and they brought people from Macau, which is a region in China that they speak Portuguese, right? They were another colony from Portugal, and they came to Brazil to work on coffee plantations because industry was growing in Brazil. So we have people from China, and they started to put the tea plantation inside of Brazil. So the Chinese people were responsible for that. What else? And I told you about Orelhão, and
mhm.
Orelhão, guys, it's like a public phone, right? And a Chinese girl created that. So thank you for that girl. I forgot her name, but it was a Chinese.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we don't have some Chinatowns that in US, for example, but they have in Liberdade. So in Liberdade, they have of course, it's most of the time Japanese people, but they have some Chinese. And I saw they were planning to create a Chinatown in Curitiba. So
Oh,
yeah, this is really interesting to see. And another question: have you ever met a Chinese person here in Brazil? Is it common
yes,
to see?
yeah, a lot in São Paulo. Like you said, Liberdade does have quite a bit of Chinese influence now. Other than that, not really. I would say maybe one person in Florianópolis, but that's because I went to a Chinese store to buy some of the Chinese foods that I miss. So I think that's the one thing I do miss in Brazil is the food from that I'm used to. So I miss a lot of American food. I miss a lot of Chinese food. That's not so common here. And one of the main reasons is because I lived a lot of time in southern US, where there's a lot of really spicy food. And China also has a region called Sichuan, which is also a lot of very spicy food. And what may surprise a lot of people is that Brazilians do not like spicy food. So it's very, very, very rare. And if you do go to a restaurant, you will see a lot of places that the spicy option will say levemente picante, which is like very lightly spicy. And for somebody that like me that is very used to eating spicy foods, it's like not spicy at all. Like I cannot even like if I want spicy food, I have to go to a either Indian restaurant or Chinese restaurant and ask like very, 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 very spicy. And then it's like a slightly less spicy food than I'm used to. So it's kind of like that. So Brazil is very against spicy foods.
And talking about food, you know,
Mhm.
we have some Chinese fast food, for example, China in box, which is really
Yes.
famous in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
There is some connection with the Chinese, real Chinese food, or it's, you know, just a thing created by Brazilians.
Yeah, not too much, not too related at all. And even there's regional differences. So China inbox in São Paulo was a little bit closer than the China inbox in Florianópolis, as an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And for example, have you ever tried the gyoza from Brazil? Like,
exactly.
is it
Yeah.
different?
So China inbox São Paulo is pretty similar, but the China inbox of Floripa is not close.
And I remember as well, you were in Rio, right?
Yeah,
And there is a place called the Chinese View.
I
I,
didn't know that.
yeah, under it's like a viewpoint there, and there is, you know, some Chinese architecture. So because of these Chinese immigrants, they started to be in Rio, and then they spread it all over Brazil. And yeah, I think I remember that places. Unfortunately, we don't have like a Chinese city here, but we have like Liberdade and this kind of places. And have you ever saw Chinese and try to talk in Chinese, or they are 100%, you know, Brazilians and they speak Portuguese?
Yeah, so I don't really go to Liberdade to meet people like in the street, but if I go to a Chinese restaurant in Liberdade, yes, there's Chinese people that work there and I speak Chinese to them.
Well, I see that here in Brazil we don't have so much. Well, people speak in Portuguese,
Mhm.
obvious, but sometimes I hear a little bit of Chinese. You know, like people in stores, and um, they speak like with accent Portuguese,
Mhm.
right? And I can see like, well, he's not from here. Another question: which is your favorite city here in Brazil? And not Florianópolis, another one.
Either I would say Natal or Belo Horizonte. So Belo Horizonte is in that state, Minas Gerais, that I mentioned as my second favorite state, because of the food, the people, the culture there, and there is also nature. Not that I have enjoyed it that much yet, because of the pandemic, and also Natal because I think the beaches are super beautiful, with very blue water, really really great food, really great people as well. So yeah, to give some like context, there's a restaurant in Natal called Camarões Potiguar, and it has 14,000 reviews on Google with a 4.9 average rating. So this is like unheard of. Like you can look at up some of the top restaurants in the world, and they don't have that many uh, evaluations and still a 4.9 or higher. So that really speaks to how great the food is in Natal. I got there at 6 p.m. before it opened, and there was already a line down the street, and it was definitely some of the best food I ever had. One of the dessert there was the best I ever had. It's called petit gâteau, which is quite popular here in Brazil. For those that don't know, it's kind of like a chocolate cake with a chocolate filling inside and ice cream next to it. So it's the hot chocolate cake, and then you have a cold ice cream next to it. It's a perfect combination here in Brazil.
Yeah, and it is a French food, right? Like petit gâteau. And people from France, please comment below if you live in Brazil. Is it similar? Because I think that I have the feeling that we took a recipe and we Braziled a little bit. So we put our way to cook the things. I know that like we have temaki, which is a Japanese food, and in Japan you don't have temaki, and like we just created things and we mixed the cultures. I think this is awesome. And I was in Natal, and unfortunately I wasn't there. But thank you for the recommendation. Natal is awesome. Have you ever been to Pipa, which is a close city?
Yeah, Pipa, I'm not too much of a fan of. I didn't think it was that beautiful.
Mhm.
For like a really beautiful beach town, I really prefer Jericoacoara,
Oh,
which is further north. Yeah.
I was there this month. Like one of the best places that I visited in Brazil for sure. Like
Yeah.
I think like my top three probably. Like when we talk about natural beauties here, I definitely number two, I think, for sure.
Mhm. So what is your number one?
City.
Yeah, what is your number one beauty? So if Jericoacoara is number two, what's number one?
Uh, I would say Iguazu Falls because I have a relationship with that place because it was the first time that I traveled by plane in my life, and I just fell in love. It's one of the postcards of Parana, and it is so beautiful. I could see a rainbow, and the place it's awesome. And there I realized like, well, I really want to visit the whole states in Brazil. Like that was the time that I really fall in love about my country. And of course you have the Amazon rainforest, another beauty in my opinion, Monte Roraima, right? Roraima Hill. What else? Bonito. You will go there probably. Uh,
Yep.
Fernando de Noronha, right?
Haven't been, but the tickets are booked. So that will be next year, 2022, after the pandemic.
Yeah, so this kind of stuff, there are a lot of places that I really want to visit here. Chapada Diamantina as well, another interesting place from Bahia. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And about your Portuguese, it was difficult for you to learn. What do you think?
So I already spoke Spanish before when I was living in the US, so that helped a lot because there are a lot of similarities and a lot of borrowed words. So I think for me it was a little bit easier, but most people, if they set their mind to it, they can learn Portuguese.
Yeah, probably you could communicate, but at the same time you cannot understand, right? Because I don't know, when I see a Spanish speaker and they speak, I can understand, but when I speak in Portuguese, they cannot, and I just don't know why. But
Mhm.
it's really common to see, and yeah, I think to immigrate to Spanish to Portuguese, it's really easy, right? To
Mhm.
understand some words, as you said, we have some words which is almost the same, like casa, casa, something like that.
Yeah, I would say like day-to-day communication is pretty easy, but the challenge was because I moved here for work, so I had a job also here to come to Brazil, and I think having business meetings in Portuguese is the first big challenge, because you're not just talking about food, weather, these types of common topics now. You're talking about complex, business topics, goal setting, uh, like technological concepts. So these can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're having a meeting with lots of like company leaders and you need to talk about how are we approaching our semester goals, and you have to speak that in Portuguese.
And yeah, I think that's it, Henry. It was awesome to talk about. And you have our last words?
No, I would just say everyone should visit Brazil. It's definitely a great country. Uh, and I know we're in a difficult time right now, but afterwards, definitely come visit Brazil.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Please visit Brazil. Do you want to share your social medias?
Yes, so my Instagram is Henrique Zhao. So that's HENRIQUEZHAO.
Okay, and I am Andrey or Brazilian Buddy. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, what else? Facebook, and of course Instagram. Um, Thank you so much. Muito obrigado, and I see you on the next. I see you on the next episode. Ciao.